right, everyone. Welcome to Boxing Around the World with Hayden and Jade. We're kicking off two exciting fights. We're always starting off with the past, and then we go to the future. So let's, without further ado, introduce the past fight, which we're going to keep with the heavyweight theme. We're going to keep with the Muhammad Ali theme. Rumble in the Jungle. Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman, who was undefeated. Talk it to us, Jade.
Yeah, look, it's Ali Foreman, Rumble in the Jungle. They went to Zaire. It took place on the 30th of October, 1974. So a long time ago. But, it was an exciting fight. And, there was a lot of stuff building up to the fight. They both went to Zaire, training there for 2.5 months. And Foreman got the cut before the fight. The fight even had to get postponed because Foreman got a cut in sparring. His sparring partner actually hit him with an elbow, causing the cut. And then the fight got postponed by a month. He actually...
Hey, Jade, don't you think it's so interesting that this fight is so old that the country had a different name at the time?
It is, yeah. It's crazy. It was called Zaire back in the day. Now it's Democratic Republic of Congo. And as I said, like I was talking about that cut, George Foreman had 11 stitches in that cut, so it wasn't a bad one. But yeah, like you say, it was so long ago. The country was even named a different name. It was still Kinshasa, so it's still the same name today, the capital. But it was then called Zaire. It's now Democratic Republic of Congo. I know we in South Africa we know the Democratic Republic of Congo very well because we've got a lot of fighters in South Africa from there. We've got the likes of Paul Kamanga, Dido Mukanya.
We even have the reigning WBC Cruiserweight World Champion Ilunga Makabu in South Africa.
Ilunga Makabu, yeah, exactly. All from the DRC. So yeah, it's really exciting. It's exciting that a fight of this magnitude took place there as well. I mean, it's great that a fight of this magnitude took place anywhere in Africa. I mean, it was great. It was great fights to have and things like that. So yeah, if you want to break down some of the stats and saying a fight of this magnitude, there were actually 60,000 people at the venue. 60,000 people at the fight. This fight actually had back in that day had the biggest television presence, and it was sourced to say that over 1 billion people watched the fights on TV around the world. So
that's crazy. I mean, 1 billion people. I can't even think about a fight today that would draw 1 billion people. That's like real universal boxing, bringing the whole world together.
100%, definitely. That was, as I say, bringing the whole world together. Like, not only the fact that it was boxing. I don't think any sports
barring
now
the barring the FIFA World Cup.
Yeah, okay. The FIFA World Cup's a bit different, but that's because that's like world things. Even like a rugby World Cup brings a lot of people and stuff. But a single sporting event. So World Cup is not a single sporting event, but a single sporting event bringing up to a billion people, that's a lot, man. And back in those days, it was said to make $100 million just on pay-per-view, just on pay-per-view alone. And back in those days, the 100 million was a lot of money. 100 million is a lot of money now.
A lot of money now. I'll take that. Give it to me right now.
Yeah, exactly. But back in those days, 100 million was a lot of money.
Yo. Damn, man. So they're like looking at that money and looking at how much it is today. I mean, do we even have guys that are on that mega stardom level to command fees like that? I mean, obviously we're going to inflate the numbers now because 100 million, we know that like Floyd Mayweather's made that sort of money. But, talking about back then, I mean, does it even amount to that much?
Yeah, so like if you had to compare it to today's money, I think that'd be close to the billions, man. Very close to it. So I don't think there's any fight that can warrant that amount of money. No matter even Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather, yeah, definitely the smartest businessman in boxing of his era. 100%. But I don't think anybody brings even close to the amount of money that would have brought. And I mean, but you know what's also interesting is if you look at it, that was heavyweight boxing. Heavyweight boxing is so different because if you think of it, these guys were both 6'3", but Foreman was only weighing 100 kilos, and Ali was only weighing 98 kilos for that.
Those
fight.
are like tiny modern day heavyweights. That's like tiny. That's like
very small.
Like I mean, you would have said if you saw a heavyweight like that in these days, you would have said, "Why aren't you cutting down to cruiserweights?" You know, it's something.
Exactly, 100%. And like this fight was huge for back in those days because back in those days we never had as many titles and stuff like we do now. But this fight was for the WBA, the WBC, and the ring titles. So Ali was coming into it. He was 44-2 record, but he was the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world at the time. Foreman 40-0 coming into this fight, undefeated.
So here's the thing, right? So we starting this like betting league soon. Who would you put your money on that? Not a betting league, but we're having like a fantasy league, I should say, like a friendly with friends. Who would you have put your points on? Let's put it that way.
Look, again, you know me. I love the power man, so probably would have been Foreman, to be fair.
So again, you've gone against Ali 2 times in a row.
Exactly, yeah. Like Frazier, I would have gone Frazier. Foreman, I would have gone Foreman. But I didn't think. See what was like, especially like I say, and when I'm thinking about what my prediction would have been back then, I'm thinking about I wouldn't have known what was going on behind the scenes. So I didn't know Ali had this new rope-a-dope style because in this fight, this is when the rope-a-dope was actually introduced to boxing. Nobody knew about fighting off the ropes and things. People were like, stay away from the ropes. You want to control the center of the ring. Stay away from the ropes. So
I'm thinking, even myself as a commentator, I'd be like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, he's doing something like absolutely abstract.
So because nobody knew about that plan and that, nobody would have ever given Ali the time of day, to be 100% honest. He was a 4-1 underdog coming into the fight with the bookies and stuff. So a 4-1 underdog coming into this fight. So, I mean, that just tells you even the bookies didn't know that Ali had a plan for Foreman.
So before I talk about the fights and we're going to talk about what happened that night in Kinshasa, I just wanted to mention George Foreman. Where did he really make his money? Do you know this one?
Probably the grill.
It's the grill. He made most of his career money off the grill. That's the craziest stat I've ever seen. His post-boxing career, he made a lot more money.
Probably. Even now, like with all his books and stuff, because not only did he release the grill, the George Foreman grill, he also released a cooking book. So, obviously, coming from a boxing background, having to eat clean, having to eat certain diets and stuff, that obviously helped him with the knowledge to actually bring out a cookbook and stuff. So, like even if back in the day when the George Foreman grill was actually released, he actually released it with his cookbook. So,
wow.
So he'd actually sell them with his cookbook. So,
you know who the modern day George Foreman there would be is Chris Algeria. I don't know if you know about his nutritional studies.
Yeah. So I kind of also went along that path. So after I retired as a professional boxer, I actually went and studied sports nutrition. So I actually got a diploma in sports nutrition. So it's interesting. A lot of boxers do it, and I think the reason they do it is because coming from boxing, you know more, you know about diets and stuff. So it's a lot easier when you study nutrition. Like when you're doing tests and things, it just makes it a lot easier.
Just off topic, are you still doing your challenge? Are you still going on with that and exercising and?
Yeah, so I'm still doing the weight loss and fitness challenge. I did, however, in my last video that I posted, I actually suffered an injury in that video. I actually went for a run, and in the run, I actually injured a shin and stuff. So I've actually been out from there. I've still been playing rugby and stuff on weekends, but I did give training a bit of a break due to that. And then as soon as the injury healed, I got sick, as you can hear yourself. I've got a bit of flu now. So look, but other than that, within the next week or two, I'll probably get back to training and things like that, and back to the videos and everything like that. Yeah.
All right, so we got about 4 minutes now to wrap up this Kinshasa fight. So walk us through the fight. It was a good fight.
Yeah, look, so some other stats from the fight. This was marked as the greatest sporting event of the 20th century. Okay. Also, Foreman had just before turning pro had come off winning an Olympic gold as well, same as Ali. He won a gold at the 1968 Olympics. Okay. Also, Foreman went into this fight as a 4-1 favorite, but it was, of course, he was feared for his punching power, his size, and his physical dominance. Like he would, when he'd go into a clinch with somebody and you'd lean on them and make them tired. So yeah, he did that. What built this fight up to be great is Foreman had beat Frazier by dropping him 6 times in 2 rounds before the fight actually got stopped. And then he went on to beat the only other guy who actually beat Muhammad Ali, Ken Norton, and he stopped Ken Norton in 2 rounds. So, and that was basically what set up the whole Ali fight. Foreman was 25 years old at the time. Ali was 32, so it was youth versus experience. But again, if you look at the age, Foreman was 25 with 40 fights, and Ali was 32 with 46 fights. So it wasn't much of a difference in experience there. This fight actually went on to win Fight of the Year for 1974. So, which is just shows you what a big fight it was. And yeah, look, Ali went on to win this with the rope-a-dope by knocking George Foreman out in the 8th round. So nobody ever thought that would happen. Ali was more a speed fighter than a power fighter, and Foreman was more the power fighter. So people would have said Foreman would have won by knockout and Ali would have won by points, but it wasn't to be.
Wow, and that was the story that happened that night, because I mean, as you said, a lot of people would have expected Foreman. I mean, he was the heavy favorite, but that's Muhammad Ali's career, defying the odds. You know, not just lying down and taking it. You know, he's just kept on proving people wrong, and I think it actually made him better when he came into fights, just knowing that he could do that, and he knew his ability as well.
Definitely. Ali was the kind of guy who was like, he'd never give up until the very last bell. Pretty much like Lee Wood did last night. Lee Wood was 11 rounds down last night and came back in the 12th round to knock out Michael Condon. So that's the kind of mindset Ali had. He would never give up until the last bell, because he knew one punch could change a fight.
All right, well, there we have it. We have the bell for our past fights. And as we look towards the future, we have an interesting fight coming up between 2 former Maruti Mthalane opponents. We got Muhammad Wassim and we got Sonny Edwards, the IBF flyweight champion of the world. Big fight. It's on Pro Bellum. This is going to be a good step for both guys. I mean, obviously Edwards, the champion, and Wassim only with that single loss on his career. How do you see this fight playing out?
So before I give you my prediction, I'll give you the prediction after I give you my facts. Okay. First of all,
give us the facts, because you're going to build up the prediction now.
That's it. Yeah. I'm gonna build up to this prediction, and so first of all, both of these guys very short amateur careers. Not great amateur careers. Not very big amateur careers. Edwards only had 7 amateur fights, 5 wins, 2 losses. Wassim had 17 amateur fights, 9 wins and 8 losses. So none of these guys were great amateurs. They never went on to do anything great in the amateurs or anything like that. But then coming into the pros, Wassim is 12-1, as you mentioned, he's only got a single loss. And the single loss is to none other than great Maruti Mthalane.
South Africa's finest flyweights.
Exactly. And that was actually a brilliant fight to watch if you watched it, because it was a give and take fight. Maruti did school him, took him to school, gave him a boxing lesson. He went on to drop Maruti in the 11th round. So yeah, Maruti got the 8 count. And then Maruti just came back, did what he needed to do, lasted till the end, and got the points win. But that's Wassim's only loss on his record. that would have probably been Sonny Edwards' only loss on his record as well if he didn't run like he did. He had blisters on his feet after fighting Maruti, and that's no lie. He couldn't walk for something like 2.5 weeks or something because he had the blisters on his feet. Sonny Edwards is down. He's up in Sheffield all the time. So I know he gets a lot of exposure with Empire Fight Tape because they got an online thing like this where they're always interviewing somebody and stuff. And Sonny Edwards is there almost every day, so he's getting interviewed loads. So that's how I know that he could hardly walk for like 2.5 weeks after the Maruti fight. So if he didn't run and move it as much as he did, look, when people run, a lot of people say, "Oh, look, he's running, he was scared, whatever." It wasn't that he was scared. He was doing boxing science, and he was doing the boxing basics. Boxing is basically hit and don't get hit, and that's exactly what Sonny Edwards did. So you can't take anything away from him. If he didn't do that, Maruti probably would have outpointed him, or maybe even knocked him out, because Maruti is known to be a big puncher.
All right, I'm going to prolong this prediction because I'm going to just chime in here as well. So obviously 2 different fighters, as you mentioned, 2 different styles. I mean, the way that they fought Maruti is a great indicator because Maruti was the world champion. Well, he wasn't actually the world champion in the Wassim fight. It was a vacant title, but he was a world champion previously. He's a former world champion. So, he has all that experience. So the best fights to sort of judge their abilities on would be against a guy like Maruti Mtsilane, who is just a come-forward monster, a guy that just doesn't stop. He's relentless. He earns his stripes. He had like almost 45. Well, he has 40 fights now. But against Sonny, I think he had 39. So like looking at that and seeing how Sonny boxed that day, I mean, you got to be more impressed kind of how Sonny did it, because Sonny just didn't beat Maruti. He had a couple of rounds on him as well.
Yeah, exactly. Look, he did have a couple of rounds, but again, Sonny Edwards did boxing basics, and that's all he did. He did on the night. He didn't. You wouldn't if you boxed Maruti like that. All you had to do was be fit, and you couldn't be a 12-round fit, because running and stuff like that for 12 rounds, you got to be a 24-round fit. And Sonny Edwards was a 24-round fit on the night.
Did you notice though in the fight, like rounds 6, 7, and 8, Sonny kind of took his foot off the pedal and Maruti was landing a little bit more and then all of a sudden he hit a second wind and that was it. Sonny took over again.
I don't think Sonny actually took his foot off the pedal. What I think actually happened was his feet were sore. His feet were hurting. I mean, man was running. Like when I say running, he was running, man. And that has impact on your legs and that has impact on your feet. So I think round 5, 6, 7, where Maruti took over, but I think that's where Sonny was actually just trying to get his legs back and trying to build up for those last few rounds, because he knew, look, it's not going to be an easy fight. He knew, look, guaranteed if he fought Maruti a few years earlier, like Wassim did, I think Maruti, even though Sonny ran as much as he did, I think Maruti would have beat him. Not taking anything away from Maruti. I'm not saying he's old and like Maruti is like a fine wine. He gets better with age, man. And that's just how his whole boxing career has been. And it's been amazing to watch. Probably one of the best boxers out of South Africa
ever.
I'm scared to say ever, because South Africa does have a lot of very good fighters, but in my honest opinion, I would say Maruti is probably one of the best fighters out of South Africa ever. But like I say, very scared to say that, because we do have greats. We got the likes of Hegi Bagla, Corey Sanders, Baby Jake, Hawk Makapula, Tap Tap was good. Silas Mabuza. The list goes on and on and on. South Africa does produce brilliant fighters. We do,
and Maruti Mtsilane is most definitely one of them. You got to put his name in that category as well. 100%. I mean, in terms of the flyweight division as well, he's pretty much owned that. So that's his division. Until something really special comes along, I don't think that you're going to give that up. But here's the interesting dynamic about this fight with Edwards and Wassim. Do you think Edwards will get on his bicycle for this fight and go for a run, or do you think he's going to try be a little bit more risky with someone like Muhammad Wassim?
geez, it's hard to say. If I look at Wassim's record and the amount of knockouts he has for that division, that's not a knockout division. That is a points win division. But if you look, Wassim's got 8 knockouts and 12 wins. So Sonny Edwards would be very stupid to try and stand and trade with Wassim. He's definitely going to have to get on his bicycle and run a bit. But I don't see him running as much as he did with Maruti, because I don't see Wassim being as clinical and as skilled as Maruti is.
Yeah, Wassim's more of a counterpuncher as well. He hits hard, but he's a counterpuncher in effect.
Exactly.
So he's not a come forward guy. He's very skillful, and he makes people pay when he makes them miss. But in terms of running after Edwards, that could take him out of his comfort zone.
Exactly. So having said that, I don't think Edwards will be running like he did with Maruti, because as you said, Wassim won't chase him. And if Wassim does chase him, it'll just make the fight very awkward for himself. And I don't think that coming into this fight, I think Wassim's mindset is going to be like, let me fight my own fights, because otherwise I'm not going to win. But if Edwards can just quick in and out and hit and move consistently for the 12 rounds, I do see Edwards winning this fight on points. So that is my prediction, even though I wanted to break it down a bit more.
Wow, just skip that step and just gave your prediction right there.
There's my prediction. I did want to break it down a bit more, but yeah, that is my prediction. I do see if Edwards, because Edwards is a slick boxer. So if he does hit and move like we've seen him in all 17 other wins, then I do see a points win for Edwards. But having said that, if I break it down, look, Wassim's not, he hasn't really had any big names on his fight record besides Maruti. But if you think of it, his first pro fight, although he's from Pakistan, he lives in South Korea, and his first fight was for the vacant South Korean bantamweight title, which he won by a TKO in the 9th round. In your first pro fight to do a 10-rounder, that's unbelievable. That's enough in its own, even though he hasn't fought any real big names besides Maruti. That in itself is an achievement. To fight your first pro fight for a title and fight a 10-rounder, that's a big achievement in itself. So Wassim has won a few titles. He's won the South Korean bantamweight title. He's won the WBC silver flyweight title twice. And then he lost for the IBF title against Maruti. But then if you look at Sonny Edwards' pedigree, now this is a really long pedigree, okay? So I've actually I've got his whole pedigree. And this is although he's got nothing in the amateurs, just what he's got in the pros is unreal. So he's got he's won the WBO European Super Flyweight title. He's won the WBO International Super Flyweight title. He's won the IBF International Super Flyweight title. He's won the IBF International Flyweight title, the WBO Intercontinental Flyweight title. He's won the British Super Flyweight title, and then he's won the IBF International Super Flyweight title, and then beat Maruti Mtulani for the IBF World Flyweight title. So man has got a pedigree, and he has been in those big fights. So coming into those big fights, Sonny Edwards does have the experience of big fight temperament, BMT as we call it, big match temperament. So yeah.
But in saying that, right, Jade, at one stage, I mean, if you read out Maruti Mtulani's accomplishments before he fought Sonny Edwards, you'd say that is a mismatch as well. You'd say, because a former 5-time defending IBF world champion, there's a whole bunch of like permutations. But like Wassim, he's the Falcon. He can strike as well.
No doubt. And Wassim, as you said, he is a counterpuncher. And like I said to you before this video started, the only way Wassim is winning is by knocking Edwards out. But if he doesn't knock Edwards out, Edwards does take it on unanimous points decision.
Wow. So do you think that Edwards is anywhere near sort of his peak, or do you think he's still in the beginning of his career?
I think Edwards still has a lot to offer boxing. I don't think he's anywhere near his peak at the moment. I think he's still peaking. He's still a young fighter. So I do think he does still have a lot to offer. So he currently has the RBF flyweight title. I do see him going on to trying to win the WBO, WBA, and possibly even unifying the division. I do see him at least trying to do that in the future. Whether or not he does do it, there are some big punches in the division. So let's.
And then in the flyweight division, you've got the undefeated Japanese fighter Junsu Nakatani as well. He's a hard hitter. He's a southpaw. I think he's the only danger at the moment. Martinez just lost, and then you got the guy from the Ukraine as well. But as we know, with Ukraine, is not fighting anyone at the moment. So you could kind of Nakatani is your only option if you're the winner of this fight.
Yeah. So as you said, Ukraine. Out of the predictions at the moment because of what's going on there at the moment. Sad to see Russia, Ukraine not really involved in world sports at the moment, which is kind of sad because, I mean, Bivol's meant to fight Canelo soon, so that fight's probably going to be put on hold for a while. But other than that, back to this one. So the winner of this fight could take on Nakatani. So, and Nakatani is a big puncher. Funny enough, like all these guys in the smaller divisions are from Japan,
and
plenty of them, and also like all these big champions are from Japan, and all these Japanese fighters in those lighter divisions are big punchers. I mean, if you look at like Bantam has got Inoue. I mean,
he's the number one power puncher in Japan. He's like he's the monster. I mean, that's his nickname.
That's it. So he is something special. And so Japanese fighters, do not underestimate them, man. Those guys have power. I don't know, it's something in the water over there or something, but yeah.
All right, perfect. And there goes the second bell of the day. And thank you again. My prediction, actually, let me throw in my prediction. I'm agreeing with you. And I know we agreed last week as well about what we thought was going to happen. But I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say Sonny Edwards on points. I just don't think that this particular Sonny Edwards, with his current mindset, is going to be giving up his title anytime soon, let alone to Muhammad Wassim. And I think Wassim is really good. I do rate Wassim really highly. I just think that the timing for Sonny Edwards and the form that he's in is just way too much. But next week we're going to have another past and present fight for you guys out there. So I hope you enjoyed this one. As I said before, leave a comment and obviously join the conversation as to what you think about what we've had to say as well. And thank you again, Jade, the bomber. Appreciate your time.